Open source AI is going to make all these AI companies obsolete.
Kimi K2.
So this is an open weight model.
Yeah, an open source model with a trillion total parameters. Where at the moment we're talking about billions, like 500 billion, like whatever. It's the trillion parameters, and it achieves state-of-the-art performance, frontier knowledge in math, coding, among other non-thinking models. Now this is quite important because it's non-thinking. There are two models. It's Kimi K2 base and Kimi K2 instruct. Obviously, this is the foundation model in which this instruct has been trained on, and it is performing quite well compared to many of the other ones. I mean, we're just behind the industry leader, which is Claude here. Claude being 72, whereas Kimi K2 is 65. On the Swede bench multilingual, 51 versus 47. Live code bench v6 is actually beating Anthropic here. I mean, yeah, it's incredible. And this is a Chinese model, so it's something to take note of. And it's a very cheap model. So China are really pushing the envelope when it comes to creating really good.
Can you download this model and run it locally?
In theory, you can.
How many gigabytes is that, and how many? Because 1 trillion is like crazy.
Yeah, that's pretty big. I think this is just going to shake up the industry again. I used it for a bit and it was really slow, and then I watched some other person's video on it and they were getting 200 tokens a second, and I think Opus was something like 40 or 60 tokens a second. And I was like, well, why? The thing is about DeepSeek came out, and whilst it wasn't necessarily the best, they've got a lot better now, by the way. Whilst it wasn't necessarily the best, it was just a point in time where it was like China just came out with this super cheap, very capable model against all of these closed source options. It wasn't necessarily a good model. That's not what the point is. I think this is the same again. This is a similar kind of shift in the industry once again, just to have another model that's non-thinking, doing really well and scoring really well.
This question existed kind of like from the start of this AI hype, that if open source AI is going to make all these AI companies obsolete. And this question comes up every time when China especially releases an open source model that is, on par with these like expensive models that have hundreds of billions of dollars in investment. And there is an open source one that you can run locally. By the way, I searched, it's about just over 1 terabyte. That means you need a computer with about 1 terabyte of VRAM. It's the graphic card RAM that you need, which is like insane. With your typical PC setups, you will not get that. You get like 20 gigabytes of VRAM on a high-end computer. A terabyte we are talking about. So you need quite a few Apple Mac Pro thingies to get to that level. So that is insane. That is an insane size. And it's crazy that now we can have these models as an open source model that we could theoretically run on our own hardware, or maybe a server that you rent that can do that. And then the question becomes, what are these AI companies doing? What is the race, this race that is going on for? Because if open source is catching up constantly, how can these models win? How can ChatGPT win if you could just use this model for free or for the fraction of the cost? What justifies OpenAI's trillions of planned investment? It's insane. I don't know.
This is the comparison here. So we've got the open source models here, and then you've got the proprietary models here. So 53 on live code bench, which beats out everyone. The winner here is that Opus 4 is beating them on multiple PLE. You can kind of see that they are doing very well. They're doing very well against the closed source or proprietary software here. But you're right, they are catching up. There's no Grok 4. I don't, unless you go through all of these and look at the numbers that Grok 4 reported, there's no Grok 4 against some of these. So it'd be interesting to see how it compares to Grok 4. This is part of a larger conversation on my show, Cmd+AI, which we stream live every single week. We discuss the news and all things related to AI in the world of design and web. Catch us next week and join in the banter.